Yeah, just a second. All right, Patricia, could you please mute your mic? Thank you.
Just looking at where to do that.
All right, so it's, if you look at your screen, it's on the left bottom. There is a bar at the bottom of your screen. It's on the left. You have a button called mute. Oh yeah, thank you very much. All right, so hello everyone. We will soon start a session with making the mandala offering, and then Geshe will lead the way with the recitation of Refugee Bodhicitta. So I will share the screen with you, hopefully. Just a second. Let's see. Screen share. Where is it? It's supposed to be here. All right, here it is. All right. We'll start with the short mandala offering. No.
아니 산지 추종 된서 제라 간단하게 집된 가지 집된 있어. 예, 당연히 람름 일선 지리자 람름도 또 전정을 모습 그 지금 당연히 지 최대한 지기 람름 진행되고 지 찬성으로 주기가 통하면 야구요소를 상승하지. 나라들이 지휘에서 인자 이 산지 추동을 된서 제라 아니 간단하게 나눠야 저기 라미네 저기 봐라 아니 양아들이 참 아니 권이 sabji추이 저와 없었지 그죠 sabji추이 저와 없었어 이 sabji추이 저와 없었어 이 대샤 아니 사도들이 다기 진이서도 겨웠는데 겨우고 가면 때문에 우리는 서시쇼세야겠다 디기 아니 죽디샤와이나 zendati
네, 단단 가서 인지게라 네 요마로와 요마레 근데 딩은 문화가 렌트와이나 다들 제초에
오케이 등에도 좋게 하면 이제 나로지 이 렌트 마서 제품 살아지 산지 저동 소지 전남과 장주가를 달리 겠으시 당기 주소지 그 전남기 로라간지 산지 들어가소 산지 저동소지 전남과 장주가를 달리 겠으시 당기 주소지 전남기 로라간지 산지 들어가소 산지 저동소지 전남과
So Geshe is now reciting the foundation of all good qualities. He thought that since we are studying here Lama Tsongkhapa's middling presentation of the steps of the path of enlightenment, it'd be good also every session to recite the foundation of all good qualities, so that we'll have every session a presentation of the text in its entirety. So since Geshe has just decided to do it now, I'm not, haven't prepared the text, so we will prepare it for, or I would prepare it for next week, so that all of us here and you guys at home can recite together the foundation for good qualities. Julie West, please mute your mute. Sorry, mute your mic. Mic your mute. Anyway, please, everyone, please mute your mics. Julie, please mute your mic. I'm trying to mute you, but you're coming on all the time. Thank you very much. And also Robin, please mute yourself. All right. Robin, please mute your mic. Thank you. All right. So Geshe went back to the presentation of the Lamrim. We've studied the text in our previous session, and I'll share the screen with you guys. So we have looked at, we've started to look at the main basis, or the main structure, sorry, of the Lamrim. So for those of you who have the text, we are studying at the bottom of page number 1 and moving on to page 2. So in looking at the structure of the text, we have, first of all, we're going to look at, sorry. We're going to look at section A, which explains, section B, which explains correspondence with the manner of explanation proposed by the scholars, which has four points. So we'll begin with showing the greatness of the author in order to show that his Dhamma is a pure source. Then we will go into showing the greatness of his Dhamma in order to generate respect for the instructions. Then how the Dhamma possessing those two greatnesses should be listened to and explained. And the final point in the Lamrim would be the stage by which a student should be guided through the actual instructions. So we've already looked at that outline in our previous session. So let's begin with showing the greatness of the author in order to make his Dhamma, in order to make sure that we understand that his Dhamma is a pure source. We will begin with the root and actual author. So This is also something that we read through in the previous session. It says, first, with respect to the author, generally speaking, the present instructions are the ones that the Venerable Protector Maitreya gives in his ornament for clear knowledge or non-ornament for clear realization. In particular, they are based on Lamp for the Path to Enlightenment, a text that was composed by Atisha, so that its author is also the author of the present text. Other than under the name of the great master Dipamkarajnana, Srijnana, which is Atisha, he is widely known as the glorious Atisha. So in speaking of the greatness of Atisha, there are 3 points. The first is how Atisha took rebirth or took birth in an excellent family. The second is how Atisha obtained his excellent qualities on that basis. And the third is, having obtained them, how Atisha performed deeds for the sake of the teachings. So looking at this explanation, it's quite straightforward. So we will do probably quite a lot of reading today through just through the text that explains the greatness of Atisha. So in the previous session, we read through the section explaining how Atisha took birth in an excellent family. We read through that section, and today Geshe will pick up from point 2, which explains how Atisha obtained his excellent qualities on that basis, beginning with how Atisha obtained his excellent qualities of vast scriptural knowledge. Let's look at this section. It begins with how Atisha learned the areas of general knowledge. It says, first, by the age of 21, having studied the 4 areas of knowledge common to Buddhists and non-Buddhists, which are language, logical proofs, crafts, and medicine, he was an excellent scholar. In particular, the great Drolungpa relates how at the age of 15, having had drop of reasoning just once, he debated with a non-Buddhist intellectual renowned for his erudition and defeated him, which spread his fame far and wide. All right, sorry, it seems that Zoom is a bit slow today. I think that we have some bandwidth issues, but we will continue with what we have now. So just a second, pin video. So Geshe read through, again, the section that we've just looked at. It says, in particular, the great Drolungpa relates how at the age of 15, having had drop of reasoning just once, he debated with a non-Buddhist intellectual renowned for his erudition and defeated him, which spread his fame far and wide.
아니 상세 이시 상면 도지시 저 따지 공부 니구 출라 무주 니비 라마 되미 쟁을 도지 태발라 장비 간진 동안 기숑 사물로에 장바도지 장비스 숑다 당가 방이 번케벌 큐디 아니 다치 공부 신신제 아니 견제양 우차원이 지금 삼성의 지 아니 지 툴레야 투자로 들이 아니 중요해서라서 인자 지 상가가 계속 냐비 공부 중원나스 아니 다시 간로만 남기 그 다크만 남기 상하 그 레벨 아니 공기 지 한지만 용이 지 레벨만 주스 내는 때니 지 시 툴레야 지 용수 저보다 아니 시문도와 상성기 캠투문 투문도와 상비 아니 투라 코네 아니 투자도 좀 아니 총으로야 어딘지게 딱 삼아 총열을 쏘고서래
So first of all, we looked at the section explaining how Atisha learned the areas of general knowledge. Then this next section explains how Atisha learned mantra, tantra. It says, then he requested the complete empowerment from the glorious master yogi of the main temple on Black Mountain, the Guru Rahulungpa, who had received direct visions of a Vajra and a prophecy from Vrajadakini. He was given the secret name Jnana Kuya Vajra. Up to the age of 29, he studied the Vajra vehicle under numerous highly realized gurus and thereby became knowledgeable in all texts and instructions. When the thought, only I am knowledgeable in secret mantra, occurred to him, the Kinis pointed out to him in a dream several volumes of mantra he had not seen before. That lowered his pride. So then just try to think of this scenario, this situation. First of all, it was very young in age. From very young age, he learned from various masters. Then he became skilled in general fields of knowledge. Then on top of that, he started to study mantra. He received instructions on mantra and tantra from numerous masters until he developed that idea that he has reached a high level in his studies, that he was kind of very learned, that he was unrivaled in his knowledge. But then in order to quell his pride, he got some indications from the Dakinis who pointed out that there's still some volumes of text of mantra that he has not studied. And thereby his sense of pride or arrogance has been quelled. Then it says in the section explaining how Atisha was ordained and learned the collections of inner knowledge. Both in his dreams and directly, the gurus and personal deities then made known to him that vast benefit would accrue for the teachings and many beings if he took monastic vows as appropriate. Upon their encouragement, he took vows. The great upholder of monastic discipline, Srila Rakshita, sorry, it seems that my Zoom is just crashed, so okay. Just a second. I'll share the screen again. Just apologize for that. So it says, upon their encouragement, he took vows. The great upholder of monastic discipline, Srila Rakshita, an elder of the Mahasamgika's tradition, who had attained the concentration in which one single pointedly enters suchness on the path of preparation, officiated as abbot. Chandragarba received the name Sri Dipankara Jnana. So first of all, the text explains how Atisha obtained his ordination vow. That's all. So the section that we've covered up until now explains how Atisha obtained qualities of knowledge, and also knowledge not only of the common fields, but also the knowledge of mantra. Now, in order then to establish a foundation for the development of good qualities that are established through the progression of the path, it is said that the best foundation for that is ethical discipline. And since the foundation for the development of such good qualities is ethical discipline, he was encouraged by many great beings, many lamas and great beings, gods and so forth, to take up ordination vow. And so this is what he did. He took up ordination upon their encouragement. So then states the importance of taking up the training in ethical discipline. So we have Atisha that has taken up the ordination vow, indicating that in order to pacify, to make one's mind stream serene and pacified, one needs to maintain ethical discipline with respect to activities of body, speech, and mind. Without taking up ethical discipline that address activities of body, speech, and mind, we will not be able to make our mind serene and pacified. And Atisha taking up ordination illustrates that this is exactly what he did. Sorry.
Should we ask Margaret?
Sorry?
Do you need Margaret? No.
No.
Okay.
Just kind of Zoom constantly crashes. I don't want to.
Do you want a computer?
Sorry?
Do you want a computer?
No, maybe I'll just kind of reset my computer. Maybe one of you can go on the meeting. Are you on Zoom?
I think I'm on here.
Sorry?
I think I'm on here.
Oh, I can do it through Geshe's computer and just say that. All right, guys. Totally apologize. It seems that our internet has totally crashed, so now I'm using my my phone as hotspot. Video. Is Geshe's computer still working? Let's see. All right. Sorry for that. The internet is crashed. Geshe Tsultrim's computer also crashed, so hopefully now it's going to be all right. Yesterday we had a session, everything worked perfectly, and all right. Record this session, recorded this computer. All right, let's continue. That's all, Geshe.
아니 가서 당한주 강 잠바 강 심바 강 어디 아니 안주 아니 란규 털고 인자 아니 안주다 란규 투야기 시대도 맞나 아니 주름이라 봐 땡땡 시럽 사바숨에 땡 고원자 아니 주름이라 봐 대중한테 공부하는 야 일찍 공부하는데 기치슈 생각하세요. 대중한테 장바다 공부하는 요만데 공부하기 그 차단 모습을 공부하는 생각으로 지지 아니 개념 감지 지워이나 근데 가능성이 된다 들어왔어. 와.
We looked at the section of the text that explains how Atisha trained in the common fields of knowledge, then trained in mantra, then took ordination. And what this section illustrates, Geshe is saying that whatever we train it, whatever we study, we do that in order to tame our own mind stream, in order to subdue our own mind stream. And we do that through taking up the three trainings, beginning with the training in ethical discipline, without which we'll not be able to make our mind stream serene and pacified. So we take up the practice of the three trainings: training in ethical discipline, training in concentration, and the training in wisdom. This training begins with the training in ethical discipline, which are crucial for beginners. Particularly when we think of the training in concentration, the training in concentration is essential for taking up the training in concentration. In that sense, you can say that without the training in ethical discipline, you will not be able to train at concentration. In that sense, it is indispensable for the training in concentration.
지금 동네치 맞는다 참고고 투세다 떠니 모에 메기로 된다 진짜 차당라고 동네치 탑이 가서 그치 우주부터 이쪽으로 수준으로 나는 레디 아니 한번 채워서 됐어.
We take up the training of the three trainings for the sake of attaining the state of liberation and enlightenment. These are the states that we want to attain. So for that end, we have to put a stop to coarse forms of anger, attachment, and so forth. Without putting a stop to such coarse levels of anger, attachment, and so forth, we won't be able to progress well along the paths that lead to the state of liberation and the state of omniscience, the state of enlightenment. So in order then to put a stop to such coarse forms of afflictive states of mind, we take up the training in ethical discipline. And also thinking of the coarse forms of anger, attachment, and so forth that our mind is controlled by in this life, we can recognize that once we put a stop to those manifest forms of coarse afflictions, we put a stop to anger, to attachment, and so forth, our mind is made happier. And if our mind is made happier, then also our body will become well. And when our body is well, both body and mind experience that state of happiness and well-being. Now we can see that based upon our experience, right? We can say that based upon his personal experience. And Geshe said that he himself is not a physician, he's not a doctor. And yet, now when he listens to explanation given by others who are more knowledgeable of well-being, they say that a happy and quiescent state of mind contributes to a physical well-being. If your mind is happy, it also contributes to a physical well-being. Whereas when your mind is unhappy, it undermines your immune system or physical well-being. We can see that based upon a personal experience. When a mind is governed by afflictive states of mind, by unhappy states of mind, it affects our body. Our body becomes more lethargic. We also become disinclined to do different things, to go out or to have food and so forth. It seems that also food doesn't taste that well. It doesn't taste well if a mind is unhappy. Just a second, I'll switch Geshe's camera on. Awesome.
어디래 다들 뜻을 떠나서 상담도 들어 간지 간지 도스지 아니 냠도 좀나리 다도는 루루치에 쪼디 먼저 디기지 치들어서 장신이 그 디기지 치든자 디기기 자디 아니 샘을 토여버디 먼저 리베 드르세는도 상로 땅와이네야 솔토야지 그러 먼저 지단기 치 차견이야 아니 디기기 차견 문제 제대하게 차견비기 따지 벤조리 다 가리는 수 가주 수여바이나 메들레 디기 예뱅이 받사오니 다 문도 왔어 다 단해도 아니 도스체 어디 아니 치 차견 간다지 여바이나야 그래서 디지털 투야디 카고 빼래 봤어 샘 나기 샘기 혈레지 여바이나 아니 가리 이게 지 임바이네야 코미디 혈레지만 대투야지 연구도 왔어 인자 아니 디기 야슈디 샘 아니 샘기 디기디 차당기 비려야지 비가 아니 차비기 대화소를다 딘지기 지당 대위다 민다서 만보르데니야 소 샘이야 시데세지 오늘 샘 표시지 샘피리야 어 용야디 아니 차당 가수 용바이나 시데디 마요기여바디 다 shungu kunji gombaro direshas.
So when we think about it, we meet here, for these sessions. We study this text either here, being present at Chenrezig Institute, or many of you are at home listening to those teachings. So thinking about why we're doing it for the sake of happiness and well-being. And looking at the sources for happiness and well-being, we do enjoy some happiness and well-being that comes from external sources. They do condition the type of experiences that we have. So we have those external facilities, and if we only rely upon them in expecting them to give us the happiness and well-being that we seek, we can see based upon the personal experience that alone will not be enough. Is it that only if you have those excellent conditions that you will be happy? It's actually quite difficult when you think about it, to expect that those external conditions, conducive conditions, will provide you with all the happiness and well-being that you seek. There's no guarantee, there's no certainty that those good conditions will make you happy. Not only that, if we can see that if you only depend upon external things without cultivating or developing your mind, it would be very, very difficult to expect that it will give you the perfect happiness that you seek. So where do we get that happiness and well-being that we seek? Well, we get them from a mind that is relaxed, that is vast and spacious. A mind that is quiescent brings about, due to a mind that is quiescent, the person itself is also made relaxed. There are different types of happiness that we can speak of. The word in Tibetan is dewa or diki, and it encompasses many different levels of happiness and well-being. But Geshe reckons that if we try to get at the most essential one that is expressed by the word dewa or diki, the most essential one would be to be relaxed, for one's mind to be a peaceful and relaxed mind. For one's mind to be peaceful and relaxed, we need to have a lesser degree of anger and attachment. This is at least what the text is telling us, looking at the sections that we have been covering, that we've covered here, and also some other teachings that we've done before. The indication is that we need to rid ourselves of those coarse levels of afflictive states of mind, of anger, attachment, and so forth, in order to bring about a mind that is peaceful, a mind that is well.
Chaldang Rahbadi, Zu Taji, Wombungan Tembi, Ombungan Tembi, 지 아니 소와라과 어딘지 지기 아니 왕 조샤바이나 되니 회싱한테 내 담보와야 지 아니 작당지기 초런로야 마도베기 무연의 수담내야 슈트게지 회시가 사마레스 라 무연의 수비기 진마진진 따통인디 일을 따고 뒀어 라 아니 일을 따고 뒀어 진짜 아니 디디기 일르게 일루 또비기 아니 이기 로디기야야 아니 지 차단라고 뜻이 샤만도 마송바 그래서 땡가 지지 아니 오늘 비기야 아니 유진내로서도 내당 뭐말이야 샘템 상당 저거나 아니 차단라고 뜻이 아니 당간 좀 맞춰버려 모든 거야 내다고 그러지 저 최고서 됐어.
Looking at our current state. Our current state is that we have cause afflictions that operate in our mind. We have anger, attachment, and so forth. And we develop anger, attachment, and so forth in relation to things that we experience from our senses, from the sense faculties. We have those cause feelings, cause sensations, and we develop attachment or anger in relation to what we experience through our senses, and also what we experience with our senses is related to those external objects. So as beginners, so long as we seek our happiness only depends upon those objects that we experience through our senses, those 5 objects of desires, and we develop anger, attachment, and so forth, it would be difficult to reach that state. It would be difficult to reach that state of happiness and well-being. State of happiness and well-being will come through an understanding of reality, the way that things exist. And so long as we don't have the understanding of the way that things exist for that long, it will be difficult to expect that our mind would find peace and happiness, that our anger and attachment will diminish. So really the way on the long term to bring down a sense of anger, attachment, and so forth is to develop an insight into reality, the way that things exist. And without that insight into reality, it'd be hard to think that we'd be able to vanquish anger, attachment, and so forth.
캬벌도 제대로 셔버치몰라 아니 라마 다마라키티 쟁을 보다버르세서기다 이니 엠비니지 인지로다 디지털이야 로중이 벌도 아니 라미군들이 아니 담라서 세치니 로중이 벌도 아니 슈요레
Let's look at the next section, the text, but before we do that, I'll mute. Okay, so let's look at the next section.
배치대비 찍었다고 많이 봐. 아니 대바 시행대 대바 타대바 상로겠지. 아니 되게 차례 난데 아니 진행지단 진배 랑들이 차 참은 남자 먼저 봐. 아니 소소소소스 견주시요레스.
We're still looking at the greatness of a teacher. So not only he became learned in the positions, the schools of other philosophies, other schools of thought, also he became learned with respect to the tradition of the Vinaya, that is a tradition dealing with how to tame our mind, to the point in which he became learned even in the subtle points pertaining to the way that monastics should receive alms.
Mando teva longi ondini sulsedi dan dordu sulta and songra that di nganzu da choje pande adishagi and mando teva longi ondini suldi and that jeromuchi that Lamrim ringi ulama any kecheni di Geshe nangoya ginsan kares di nganzu gi and mitsen di nangoya and kar pengere sensori. Nganzu manchege 랭 칼진에 미친들 칼 팽글 삼성기 삼로 키워라스 로 이제 더 데라야 아니 랭지 라와의 소소기 디 니무세 나와야 칼 팽글 삼성기 더바다 지워져나 델 랭지 라와의 나도 데레다 펜도즈노 사라 로
We covered this section that explains how Atisha has done a lot of study. He had a wealth of scripture. If you wonder, what does it indicate to me? Well, if you wonder, how is it related to me? Well, first of all, Lamrim Kappa in beginning his explanation of the middling Lamrim, spending some time in explaining how Atisha acquired knowledge. In some sense, it shows us what we need to do in order to develop such qualities to our mind. Really, if you think of how this explanation is relevant to me, well, just as, if you ask that question, just as text is indicating, to begin with, Atisha has done a lot of study. So if we seek to follow suit, then this is also what we need to do, to begin with study in order to then be able to tame our mind.
redadi chitang ngamzolaya so di ngamzolaya lamden redos ro pena kunchun tembin namtel jinju duji nyamne res ngamzu nyamne chetang ga rambadi ani ngamzu khung tu sagi khung kyew thambo chogi nyamne nandang ya khung tu go ros ro ngamzu lamrong go thambol ya chu khung chum ba tembicher zeba bi chwa temba se ngamzu chu khan nyamsul lembadi pi 냠닝 기민 따 샤샤 치고 많이 봐 아니 그 센데지 아니 콩타 질이야 투고디 잠발라 아니 디소도 초 콩좀 받대 비지 제법이 채울 때 봤을 나오는데 난주 냠닝 지야디 아니 콩디 지부터 로 뿌타고 지부터 로고자 콩제 된 거래서 냠닝 제당 그런 거디야 아니 람된지 되늘래 거래서
In thinking of how this section is relevant to us, we are here looking at this text that explains how to take up a practice. And in order to take up a practice, we want to ensure that whatever we take up comes from an authoritative source, from a valid source. So this is how we begin this text. We are looking at those great masters of the past and the way that they have practiced and developed their respective attainments. And then when we look at what they have done and the practices that they laid out, we become sure that the practice that we take up comes from an authoritative source. It is a valid source. So it's not that we just take up a practice randomly without making sure that what we practice is authentic. For that reason, this text begins with giving an explanation how Atisha was a valid being, how what he taught us comes from a valid source. If we make sure that what we take up into a practice comes from a valid source, we can also become sure that what we take up is an excellent practice, not just a random practice, but we rely upon a practice that is excellent. And for that reason, we begin the text in this fashion.
먼저 넘버 산기비 단디 차례비 지금 넘버 산기비 비리비 아니 땡니 두속로 댄사카다 셰다카라서 그래서 땡니 두속이 종류가야 간다스 장거리에서 나오는데 아니 쇼킹 야 상치 아니 식 나토로지 로 식마 수수 나토로지 로리 교회여버스 아니 닝고 수수기 라마기비 신인자는 전 디기 아니 단다드마 Geshe, right? And Geshe, that Gonda Pigi, Churalan Joe, and it Tig turned out the pass to Johnny Jenny, and that Kanji Chevachi, and it to Lenny, and D turned the sun, that Gombari, or do Chen, and it Mitsiki on Digi, and it the Konta Chayagi, and it Revat does the London Indigenous, right? This Chivana, that did that, and you Manzu, Chu Jandangi. 다 가서다 림바 약슈디 디레스 안 제롬지가 소요레스 담부자체 되고 마음도 발도 좀 담지 담바체 타만 인생 건데 냠선 문제 때문에 기위 제동모스 와
So that when we think of how we develop those stages of practice, like for example, we have those beings that have shown us the path, those that have shown us the path, those that show us the path at the present, and they show us this path of the Buddha Dharma, the teachings that the Buddha gave. So if you study it in a traditional setup, for example, in one of the great Gelugpa monasteries or in a shedra belonging to another tradition, you begin the day with memorizing a certain portion of the text. You're committed to memory. Then later on towards noontime, you go and see your teachers, your teacher, you listen to an explanation of this that you've just committed to memory. Then comes afternoon and the evening, you take it up in the debate court and you debate that for a while. And even after the debate finishes, when you go back home, you still continue to reflect upon the meaning of what you've debated. So in this way, you develop an understanding of the teachings that the Buddha gave. And if you follow this system of committing something to memory, then receiving an explanation of what you've committed to memory, then debating that material and continuing to think of this explanation, you follow a method that is of the best methods to develop an understanding of the teachings that the Buddha gave. And it is similar to what Lamrim Tsongkhapa said in one verse. He said, at the beginning, I sought extensive studies. In the middle, those teachings dawned to my mind as instructions for practice. And at the end, day and night, I made effort in this practice.
소소라니 아니 미 남조데 데마식 세지 다차토로스 랭이 넘버 제투니 남주진기 미지 차토레스 디기 랑기 메세디 아니 된다 데마식 라 메세디 된다 데마식 쳐버레스 담 메세데리아 펜슈디 약슈디 디차버레스 라
If you do it like that, then you spend your life in developing wisdom. You develop wisdom in that intellectual capacity that can make you capable of distinguishing between the positive and negative, the correct and the incorrect. That very thing makes your mind meaningful. It is the best way of spending one's life.
피기 레니 남바지비 아니 남주 토네더니 장대 마싱이 아니 장대기 내로야 삼퉁인기 된다 공인기 딱 뭐니기 미차로스 신 아니 장게 셴팜야 제대야기 내가디 돈을 순전순전해야 여대규지로서 아니 소수 계획이 제도 신세 또 촉정이가 소버디 아니 미인고무도스 사망도스 기 인디지 투가 삼지기 아니 메시지 아니 텐다 템바세데 사원님 제무도스 봐 이제 미드 튼지 체버디 아니 소 랭니 제시다 마시 로 아시 된거 미 챙이서 마신기 어 딘디지 토네 체고도스 디다 다 아니 조지반데 아드샤만 신지 비길이야 아니 로종 남바이나 아니 미차투고레스 미스티안 데바차고레스.
In that sense, you can say that you're becoming a fully fledged person, a real human being, so to speak. And Geshe said at the beginning of that, in general, when we look at the Buddhist definition of what a human being is, it is said that a human being is that which is able to speak and to understand the meaning. But it's not just kind of being able to speak and understanding the meaning. Here we're looking at something that is more specific, kind of becoming a kind of fully fledged real person. And fully fledged real person would be the one that is honest, is truthful. In that sense, speaking with a sense of honesty, speaking the truth, and also developing an understanding that is combined with intelligence that understands the distinction between the good and the bad. We as human beings have that intelligence that sometimes makes us engage with seeking up our own victory, even if it comes at the expense of others, even if it means the defeat of others. And it's not that only we are capable of doing that, also other living beings, animals and so forth, are capable of doing those activities that which secure their own profit, their own victory, even if it comes at the expense of others, defeating others. So we want to act differently. We want to act differently. And in order to do that, we want to develop the wisdom that understand the distinction between the positive and the negative, the good and the bad. And that makes us be a good person, fully fledged, good human being. And the way to do that is exactly as Atisha did. Atisha, first of all, has sought extensive studies in order to develop that intelligence that distinguishes between the positive and the negative in order to forge that good-hearted human being. And this is the path that we want to follow.
logic is no longer yachi and samaji yagoji machana and semshu chade di zawni norgo imbachi ya munzenchi tubaina ta social pengra wasro.
But also in saying that, when we look at what Atisha studied, what he came to understand, the meaning that he got out of the things that he studied, if we expect to be able to do it just in a span of 1 or 2 years, it is likely to not be, we're not going to be able to do it. And there's a danger that if we develop those unrealistic expectations, that will get deflated after a while, that we haven't turned out to be just like Atisha. So also keep your expectations in check. Make sure that you adopt realistic expectations.
Chujin Druba Toby on the Nibi Sulset, Ibanese, Chil Gavi Longi Temba Tamji, then Nurumuchi Sundun Duvis, Toby Tembayan, Tabarumuchi Sundun Duos, the London of Tembaningodi, Sunduna, Sundun Dugres, Longi Tembadi, and then Sungunan Dubata, Toby Tembadi, Tabasungunan Dugres.
So we continue with the explanation of the way that Atisha has acquired these good qualities. And in order to do that, let's look again at the text. So we've covered the section of how Atisha was ordained and learned the collections of inner knowledge. Then the next section explains how Atisha obtained the excellent realizational qualities of its correct accomplishment, beginning with how all the excellent realizational qualities are contained in the 3 trainings. It says, since generally speaking, all the scriptural teachings by the victor are contained in the 3 precious baskets, the realizational teachings are also contained in the 3 precious trainings. So altogether, the qualities that we seek to develop are qualities of scriptures and qualities of realizations, right? Those 2 sets of qualities of scriptures and qualities of realizations. The qualities of scriptures are qualities of knowledge of the teachings which are classified in the 3 baskets, the 3 scriptural collections. The subject matter of these three sets of teachings are the 3 trainings, and we want to develop the trainings of the qualities of the 3 trainings in terms of realizations. So these are the 2 sets of qualities that we want to develop: qualities of scriptures, the 3 baskets, and qualities of realizations, which are realizations of the 3 trainings.
And 아니 데노 카이버 데노 있습니다. 즉 송로 카이버디 아니 데비 데노리스 또 삼된다 땡인진기 하고 쪼때 되는기 아니 송로 카이버디 응원비 데노다 도데 데노다 아니 단들이 찍기 싫어라고 쪼되는데 응원비 데노스 뜻은 되고레스
When it says here, since generally speaking, all the scriptural teachings by the victor are contained in the three precious baskets, we refer to the basket of the Vinaya, the basket of Sutra, and the basket of the Abhidhamma. These are the three scriptural collections. Now, these three scriptural collections teach the realization of teachings which are contained in the three precious trainings. So how does it work, you might wonder? So we have the basket or the teachings of Vinaya. They teach the training in ethical discipline. Then we have those of the scriptural collection of Sutra, which teaches absorption or concentration. Then we have the teachings of the Abhidhamma, which teach the training in wisdom.
Geshe and Geshe Denuna, Geshe Lava Tsultrim Tengin the Sheriff Sumti. Tisungunanta, Tisungunan Sun Duores and Duores, like Kichish, Tisum Chagores, Pita, living in Sora, Tembitam Junamite, don't the top of Danito. As any Tenzin Chebam Hacheva, Jabacheva Conains. Sonkaga dire ani sanji tembadi lonto temani sundures ani Geshe longi temba ani denusum ani thosum gonsum chebole teni ani Geshe thabasum ani rangule kiche ani rangi jugi ani chadamonso ro rangi kyen sebe chewati chi tabbi sanji tembales.
So we have here those two sets of three. On one hand, we have the three scriptural collections, the three baskets. And the subject matter of these three baskets are the three trainings. So these are the two sets of three. So we have the three trainings, training in ethical discipline, the training in concentration, and the training in wisdom, which are, for us, they condense all the essential points, the important points that the Buddha taught. And it is just like what Vasubandhu said in his text. Vasubandhu, an Indian scholar, said the teachings of the Muni, the Buddha, are twofold. There are teachings as scriptures and teachings as realizations. One then takes up the teaching as scriptures in order then to give rise in one's own continuum to those qualities of practice, qualities of realization. So this is for us something that is crucial, in a sense that our goal is to remove faults, to dispel faults from our mind stream. And the faults are faults of anger, attachment, and so forth. And in order to dispel those faults, what we need to do is to, first of all, study the scriptural collections that teach the three trainings. But then on top of that, we take up the three trainings as practices. And through that, we come to dispel those faults from our mind stream. Let's look at the next section in our text. For that on mute. So it says, we're going to look at the section of how a teacher was accomplished in the 3 trainings, beginning with the training in ethical discipline. It says, in this regard, the training of ethics is often praised in the scriptures and in the commentaries as the foundation of all excellent qualities, such as training in concentration and wisdom. Therefore, it is necessary, first of all, to have excellent realizational qualities in terms of ethics. So we've just mentioned the qualities of of ethics, concentration, and wisdom, and the training in ethical discipline for developing those the qualities. The training in ethical discipline acts as a foundation for the trainings in developing the qualities of concentration and the qualities of wisdom. So this explanation is not just a random explanation. It's not that kind of we think that I wonder if I really need to develop those qualities. This is the way that I need to proceed. It's not that this approach is just kind of a random approach. This is the approach that the Buddha promoted. The Buddha promoted this approach that is based on study, reflection, and meditation, in which we, in stages, develop those qualities of scriptures that then give rise to, in our own mind, to qualities of realization. So this is also how we should proceed, in beginning with the taking up of the training in ethical discipline.
아니 셴복한 개송고에서 개어말했어. 내가시 테레스. 되니 전주선비 수준. 되니 아니 상황이 수준. 다 소들기 동batsam이야. 소 무튼인지기 전주선비 수준 소야디 빼마서 깔아가고 되네. 미망체기. 아니 전주선비 동bat다 상황이 동bat내야야. 빼티. 아니 제어치대야 마도 지금 디기 심마 아니 소들기 수준디 지금 무거운 소리지. 소리야디 배디 아니 지 MB 걸음 넣어줘야 살았어. 딱 걸음 넣어댕기기 아니 냠는 센데지 치고는다 가고 영 말아라. 대양지 소들기 수준디 송고레스라는 인칭지 비기 인치 개초만 또 봐. 야 디지에 인칭지기 내내야 비기 미기 주봉 수준 간지
So the foundation for all of that is the training in ethical discipline. So in terms of ethical discipline, we have 3 types of ethics. We have the ethics of pratimoksha, or in English, personal liberation. Then the ethics of bodhisattvas, the bodhisattva vow, and the ethics of mantra, the mantric vow. So in terms of these 3 types of ethics, the ethics of the pratimoksha, personal liberation, bodhisattva, and tantra, the easiest one to take up and guard is the ethics of personal liberation. But then often we get things completely in the wrong order, back to front, in that for us, we become enthused, we become inspired to take up the bodhisattva vow of the mantric vow, but we don't want to guard a vow of personal liberation, which indicates to us that our order is distorted, because it'd be really difficult it would be extremely difficult to guard the bodhisattva vow, the tantric vow, the mantra vow, without guarding the ethics of personal liberation. So the ethics of personal liberation is the easiest one to guard. It focuses on actions of body and speech. We develop, or we train in the abstention of certain forms of actions of body and speech. So if we have that attitude with respect to the 3 levels of ethics, in which we think that I don't want to take up the training in the pratimoksha level, that of personal liberation, but I still want to take up the bodhisattva vow or the tantric vow, then it's going to be really difficult to guard those vows. So when we think of our attitude with respect to the level of personal liberation, we might have that idea that in order to take up the ethics of personal liberation, we have to become a monk or a nun. But this is not the case. It's not that in order to take up the ethical discipline of the pratimoksha, we necessarily need to seek ordination. You can also take up the ethics that abstains from the 10 non-virtuous actions. And this is at least the very least that you need to be doing to take up the ethical, to guard the ethical discipline that abstains from the 10 non-virtues in order to create that foundation of the pratimoksha level.
Kadam yaguji chema tuna ani shenla ya kadam cheyagi da kaso da ne me yorochik ra jedas dinza da susu lunga yisum kadam cheyagi ani chala damasuna yashudi Tsultrim ilabat chagidas da di susu gi da chi kaso da pigi da loni transum desagi ani lamakyo tambaji gin dulaya kenen tamche chetabi jela karimina kari pigilaya chik zemsunji yungurwas ro.
So it is like that, isn't it? Normally, when we look at regularly what we do, normally we criticize others. We don't really look at our own faults. We look at the faults of others and we criticize them. We criticize others, but we don't really make efforts in correcting our own faults, our own shortcomings. So we have body, speech, and mind. At the very least, what we need to begin with is to try to exercise some control over the body. We might not be able to do it with respect to others, but a beginning point is at least take care of our own body, come to assume control over the things that we do. So without developing that sense of abstention, refraining from certain actions that are detrimental to ourselves and others, how would we be able to make a progress? So this is what we begin with. We begin with taking some control over our actions of body, speech, and mind, which is the approach those holy beings, excellent beings of the past have promoted. So we first off develop an attitude of abstention from actions that are detrimental.
And so dingso tsawni ni meba jilaya ani shana chudo chedel di ani kicho make it dos.
So what do we do first? First of all, we work on ourselves. We correct ourselves. And once you gain confidence in that you have gone through, you have gone a certain distance in amending what you do or correcting yourself, then you gain when you gain confidence in that, you can also have confidence in conversing about it with others. But often we don't do that, do we? Rather than developing a sense of confidence that we have already put it into practice and we have corrected our own faults, we become quite confident in telling others off, in telling others what they need to do or what they need to correct, which is not the correct way of proceeding. At the very least, we take up the ethical discipline that abstains from the 10 non-virtues. That is that's the bare minimum. And still it is said that if you want to create the foundation, the best foundation for taking up the Bodhisattva vow or the Tantric vow, the best foundation for that would be being a fully ordained monk or a fully ordained nun. It's not that this just Geshe's idea. This is also what the Buddha himself said. He said that the Buddha said that the best support, the best foundation for taking up the Bodhisattva vow or the Tantric vow would be on the basis of being a fully ordained monk or a nun. So we create that excellent support for the Bodhisattva vow and the Tantric vow. And it's not enough just to take upon ourselves this vow and to do it as a one-off thing. We then need to make sure that we regularly guard the vow that we have taken up. And if we do not do that, then we waste basically this excellent opportunity that we have at the moment. We waste our life if we take vows, but then don't end up guarding our vows. And Geshe's idea, this is his personal opinion with respect to that, that if you guard your vow well, even for a single day, you place this incredible, powerful imprint in your mind stream, even if you do it for just one day. If you become dismissive about it and you think that actually altogether, our life is quite short, so there's not much point in guarding ethical discipline for something that is just short, Geshe reckons that you're mistaken with respect to that. He reckons that in terms of creating this good support for the Bodhisattva vow, for the Tantric vow, if you do it on the basis of the Pratimoksha vow level, and you got it, even as far as got it for a single day, you've already accomplished a great thing. You create those really powerful imprints.
야구르스 라고르만 샘 데기 아니 지 가서다 지여라다 게모션이 도시 키워치만 칸스 기게 디스 거라면 저 안에 칸스요 단단히 걸이야 거기 위해서도 맞지었지 아니 키워치만 제게스라나 수수수 거걸 단주서지 그런 거 거기서 책도 왔어라.
This is Geshe's idea with respect to that. After all, sometimes Geshe comes across, in Geshe's conversation with people, you come across people that say that, becoming a monk or a nun in this life is something that is beyond my capacity. I can't do it in this life, but I hope to become a monk or a nun in my next life. I will become a monk or a nun in my next life. And when people say that, Geshe, of course, doesn't want to offend them, so he says, yeah, that's very good. But, in his mind, he thinks that actually it's funny in the sense that, have we got any guarantee that in our next lifetime, we'll be born again as human being, not fall into invisible state of existence, but again, we'll have this good working basis upon that we'll be able to use for the taking of a vow? It's no guarantee at all, actually. How can you be sure that something like that will occur to you in next lifetime? So then saying that I cannot become a monk or a nun in this life, but I will do it in next lifetime, Geshe feels that it's a bit of a joke. If you have the confidence that you will be able to take up ordination in next lifetime, why don't you have the confidence that you can do it in this life? Now, actually, if you're confident that that you can do it in next lifetime, you should be confident that you can do it also in this lifetime. So not using that opportunity to do it is a bit of a waste. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Venerable Kapsan. Thank you, Geshe.
Thank you. So Geshe will probably leave soon. Just wanted to make a couple of announcements. I'm just going to mute Geshe. Computing. Anyway, so we're going back to our DB program. Venerable Chuki is going to teach DB in April 25, 26, and 1 and 2. Yeah, so April 25 and 25th and 26th, I think that I have the email. I'll open the email and read it out to you guys. Just a second. Online schedule. Sorry, it's not this one. Anyway, April 25 and 26. What time? 9 to 12. 9 to 12 in the morning. So you're welcome to join us on Zoom, and it will be, so Venerable Chuki will teach on bodhicitta, and those teaching will also continue on to May. So we have another weekend in May, so stay tuned. Look at the emails. We'll have all the information available, and also the information is available on our website, and the link to connecting to Zoom is also found in our calendar. We will continue with the general teachings. We have Friday morning sessions and also Thursday evening sessions. They will all be broadcasted on Zoom and also YouTube Live. And on top of that, we are studying with the Guide to Bodhisattva Way of Life on April 28th. That is our advanced study program. So we will study on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursday. Geshe will teach from 10:30 in the morning till 12. In the morning, from 9:30, we'll have a meditation session. Afternoon, we'll have tutorials with me. So this is all offered by Chenrezig Institute, free of charge, so all of you can join in. Of course, if you want to make donation to the centers, we will accept it happily, so don't hold back. But we would like to offer those teachings for free, but please, if you are planning to join those teachings and you also want to stay up to date with all the information, with the transcripts, with review questions and so forth, please register through our advanced study program coordinator, Kathy, on bsp@chenrezig.com.au, so that you'll be added to our email list and you'll be completely and fully included. So thank you very much and enjoy the weekend. And Guru Puja Tsok, sorry. All right, so we have also a Guru Puja together with Tsok today at 6:30 p.m. So all of you are also welcome to join us for a Zoom broadcast of our Guru Puja. It'll be fun. Make Chenrezig great again. All right, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank
you.
Hi, everyone, and bye. See you next time.
Bye, Tup. Bye, Tongi. Bye, Graham.
Bye, Jackie.
Bye, Sarah. Kathy.
Yeah, I need to get any. Yeah, I dropped out last night. I don't know about 3 times. So it's Chenrezig Internet. It was Chenrezig.
Yeah. Kind of the internet connection is not absolutely reliable. So, so when it happens, this Zoom gets stuck. And sorry?
Hardwire would be the best. How do you get
yeah, but
to do that?
Yeah.
How many people were there?
60.
Okay. Bye-bye.